What is up, Isaac? How are you, sir?
I'm good, Ryan. Good evening. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I had a wonderful dinner, got to see the family and hang out, and we've had a good time. And now it's time to talk about games.
Indeed, wins all around for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, man, it's been a good night. And then actually, I'll talk about it later in the show. But I'm getting to sit down and teach a game to my oldest daughter and her boyfriend in just a little bit, which I'm excited about. So
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep. Why don't you introduce our guest? Because tonight we're celebrating ThanksGaming. What is Thanksgiving?
Oh, I liked
What is
that title
Thanksgiving?
change.
Yeah.
I like that. I didn't see it until like halfway through the day today.
Oh,
You
okay.
changed it to Thanksgiving,
So
but it's good. I
give me
like it.
your definition of Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving is the games I like with the people I love.
Oh, that's good. Sounds a lot like gaming with sidekicks. So
It's universal.
reusable taglines. So let's
Indeed.
introduce our guest.
Yeah,
So,
we're going to welcome Pam Walls. Pam, welcome to the game chat.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so we're celebrating Thanksgiving. Your Canadian Thanksgiving is actually a different time of the year. So hopefully you can join us for this Thanksgiving celebration here. So
Yeah, definitely.
When is Canadian Thanksgiving? I don't think I know.
It's early October.
Oh, it's not that far.
yeah,
No.
it's
Same
in proximity.
season. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's chilly out. That's all. That's all that matters. So
That is fair.
cool. So we're going to be talking about games that we really enjoy playing with our families during this time of year. We're going to talk about some of the things that we're thankful for during this time of year. And we're going to learn more about Pam in just a little bit, as she's a designer of some pretty great games. And so she's going to talk about those games and what she's doing in the industry. So why don't you kick us off with that opening question, Isaac?
For sure. With the holiday season upon us, as it is for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for all the other holidays that come in December. And for me, one of my favorite things is eating a lot more pie than I would normally eat any other time of year. And so the opening question was, what is your favorite type of pie? If you had to pick one, what's your one favorite?
Yeah, so I don't have much of a sweet tooth, so I prefer savory pies.
That's good.
And so there's a pie called tortilla. It's like a French Canadian meat pie. And I have it at Christmas. My mom makes one, and my brother will usually make a really good vegetarian, and it's so good. So it's like ground pork, and then like onions, garlic, mushrooms, celery, like a ton of seasoning in like this really yummy crust. It's so good. Ever have a chance like to make one yourself? It is so good. It's called tortilla.
Say it one more.
Yeah, tortilla. Tourtiere.
There
Yeah,
it is. I found it.
You found it?
Yeah. It's not too hard to make. And it's so good. It's like my favorite thing ever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got this recipe now.
Let me know if you try it.
I might do this. So I'm doing a big turkey. I'm smoking a big turkey for my wife's family's Thanksgiving. So I'm pretty into this. So
I love
about that life. Oh man, that looks really good. Sorry, this is not the food chat. This is the game chat.
It usually starts food though.
It usually starts food, which is fine.
We're very food focused here.
Yes. So I'm going to go with key lime pie. I love key lime pie. I love the sourness of a key lime pie. One of my favorite key lime pies is actually a mango key lime pie that Publix carries around this time of year every year. I had it about 10 years ago. It is one of the best pies I've ever tasted. So, yeah, mango key lime pie, if you can get a hold of it.
I love that. That sounds amazing. I'm a big cherry pie fan. I'm not a huge fan of most like fall pies. Like I don't like pumpkin pie. I don't like most of the I don't like
sweet
apple
potato
pie.
No, you don't like apple pie? Okay.
I just don't care for it. I don't love cinnamon, so that's probably a big part
of it.
Yeah. But a good warm cherry pie, a little bit of whipped cream on top. Perfect. My mom always has one ready for Thanksgiving, so that's my favorite type.
Nice. That's awesome. So,
Sorry, our next question.
Yeah.
We are in, as you said, this Thanksgiving holiday season. And to me, Thanksgiving, when I think about Thanksgiving, I think about food and families and hanging out. And so what type of games usually remind you of family holidays? Because I know for Ryan and I, we've talked about this on the show a lot. We grew up playing games with family. You know, a lot of the ones that people have on their shelves have had for years. But like when you think family time and games growing up, what games come to mind?
Yeah, so when I think about holidays and gaming, my family, we on New Year's Eve when we were kids growing up, and even now still, will do a bunch of different games, like different competitions, and then keep points throughout the night. And then whoever has the most pen wins. And they're all just like silly games that usually my parents will make up. So,
Nice.
That's probably where a lot of my, wanting to be a designer came from, because my parents were always making up games for us and things like that. So, yeah, think about that. And I think about one game specifically that we do almost every holiday is a game that I'm pretty sure my dad came up with it, where everyone grabs 3 random things from around the house and then they put them on the table. And you have a couple minutes to study all the items that everyone brought. And then one person, like everyone closes their eyes except for one person, they take away a certain number of items and then they can rearrange the items however they want. And then everyone looks and then they have to figure out which items are not there. And I'm so bad at it, but it's so much. I never ever win, but it's so much fun. It's just like a family tradition now. And my dad has like a really fun way to like a memory system that he uses. And like my sister always wins. And it's like, yeah, that one definitely reminds me the most of family holidays.
That's cool. My parents bring a game that I've talked about on the show before, this game called Marbles, which is, I think, an offshoot of, Aggravation, maybe, a game where it has these spokes, basically 6 spokes, and you're trying to get the ball from your player color around the board and then into the slot. But it uses 3 decks of cards, I believe. And so it's become a staple because we just do, like, the couples all sit down at the table and we play it all night long, and it's a lot of fun. It's become a staple for us. But I think as far as game mechanic, I would say trick taking. Trick taking feels like old school, nostalgic. You go back to play. I go back to playing Rummy with my grandmother, and I'm all about. Let's see, what are you sharing? So let's see.
In case
Aggravation
your description wasn't good enough.
Okay, yeah. So that is very similar to what this is, but it's not using dice or anything. It's using a 3 decks of cards, and different things do different things. So it's very strategic in the way that it plays out. Because if you have something like a 4, you go backward. If you have a 7, you can basically destroy somebody as you jump over them. So it's really cool. But yes, trick taking would be my go-to mechanic for a family get together.
And have you heard of euchre?
So I know of euchre. I've never actually played euchre, but everybody talks about euchre. So
because that's my favorite trick taking game, and I just assumed everyone knew about it, but I guess it's a Canadian thing. I don't know, but
it's a very big Midwest thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I love euchre.
In the Midwest.
Yeah, it's huge in a bunch of communities, but then a lot of people have never even heard about it. It's
down here it's spades. So if you need to tell, every time I teach a trick taking game, it's like, do you know the game of spades? And about 80% of the time they know. So
it's probably very similar.
Yeah.
No, I mean, spades is just a pretty straightforward, like hearts or any of the basic trick taking. Where euchre is the partnered game. Right?
Yes, it's with partners.
Yep.
So it's a huge game around here in the Midwest in Ohio. I for years have purposely chosen not to learn it because there was always the we just need one. We need one more player who wants to play euchre, and I didn't want to be drug into games I didn't want to play before we were big into board games, right? And so I'd be like, I don't know how to play. We can teach you. Nah, it's okay. So there's
I don't want to play.
One of our local t-shirt companies has a shirt that says like pick them up or some. I don't know what some of the
pick it up. That means you're going alone. Yeah.
It's like pick it up. I'm going in. I'm going alone is what the shirt says. So it's a very big game around here.
Nice.
Love
When I
that.
was
So
thinking,
have you learned it yet then? Or you're
nope.
still
Oh no, I'm pretty pig-headed with learning stuff if I don't want to learn it. We will get to
Wow.
That's
that
true.
when we
That's
talk
true.
about what Ryan's currently playing at the end of the
Come
show.
on. Yeah.
So I thought about like traditional stuff, like obviously like Monopoly and some of those aggravation, some of those type of games. But like for me, the one that always sticks out, we used to play a ton, and I have the copy still. It's beat to heck. Is Racco? I don't know if you ever played Racco.
Oh yeah,
as a
Racco.
kid.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a horror. It's not a good game. It's a very. I think Tom Vassell in the past has lamented on how awful this game is, but it's when we all played and we didn't like. You don't know any better when you're a little kid, right? You're just happy to play games with your family. And Yahtzee was probably the one I drifted most towards as a kid. Even like I just love rolling dice. Like I've always loved the dice mechanics. So Yahtzee is what I think of when I think of family and just playing games.
Yep.
Yeah, I played Yahtzee on Saturday night for the first time in a while, and it's just always so much fun.
It is.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So, question about party games. Why do party games work so well with family gatherings? Like, what is it about party games that make it family friendly and inviting?
Yeah, I think the main thing, like when I thought about this, is that for me, party games, it's all about like connecting with people and laughing. Those are like my two main things that I love to have in the games, the party games that I design, and the party games I like to play with family and friends is learning about each other, connecting with each other, having that shared experience and laughing together. And that's what, to me, that's what all family gatherings are mainly supposed to be about anyway. So it kind of exemplifies that, or like, increases that what you already are looking for a family gathering. Yeah.
I think those party games and stuff, it's fun to see what people answer, even like cousins and nephews and uncles and aunts and everything. One of those is wavelength right here. I love taking that because it plays such a high player count. It's so inviting. And even if you've started a game and you started the game with 6 people, it's easy to just be like, hey, let's add 2 more people. Let's just let them jump in. And I like that party game. A lot of party games allow that, or the playtime short enough that, just play it again. Just jump back in, So, yeah.
Yeah, easy to learn, easy to get to the fun really quickly. Those are important, I think, for family gatherings. And usually there's a mix of people at these gatherings and a lot of people who haven't played a lot of board games. So you might want to, that's why party games are also very nice, because they're really accessible and easy to learn.
Yeah.
Easy to get into.
The Rainbow said a new game that I learned that my kids love is Slamwich. I remember I gave Slamwich to my wife a couple of years ago for like, I think it was part of a birthday scavenger hunt that she went on around the house. So it was just a little Slamwich tin. It was like a little tiny, what do you call it? Lunchbox.
I love it. So, it's fun. We used to play the heck out of that with the kids.
Yeah. So, what's your reason for for party games with the family, Isaac?
You gonna let me go in front of you? Usually you go next.
No, I talked about mine.
Oh, you jumped in with it. Sorry.
You were typing.
I was distracted. Sorry.
It's all good. What are you buying on the internet?
I know. I'm trying to. It's TikTok. I'm distracted trying to get that running. We've got a lot of views kicking in over there. TikTok's such a weird beast. Like it's so weird on how well that works. So for me, for party games, I've never been a big party game guy, and I think as I got more into board gaming, I got away from the idea of like, I don't want to play party games. I play Lacerda games, right? Like that mentality of that. And I would say within the last probably 5 or 6 years, the idea of party games became like, no, this is how I'm going to get most of the people I know their foot in the door with a different type of game or interested. And so for me, like, why do they work well with family gatherings? One, because it gets everybody to talk about something that isn't the uncomfortable topics that no one want to talk about, right? So we started there.
Usually,
because we're gonna watch my Detroit Lions play on Thursday, and once that game's over, conversation goes south real fast. That's right. Fun. So how do we have a good time? How do we do something that's fun and kind of is cross generational?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm not going to get out like I said, I'm not going to get 5 of these Lacerdas out back here and go, okay, let's get 4 to a table. I'll teach. Right? We're going to do something where we can all kind of come together, have fun, and have some laughs. And you look at the Jackbox games, do a great job with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like they getting everybody together, having fun, having a good time, and it's something we enjoy.
Have you all gotten the Facebook ads for Big Potato Games has 3 of their games, Herd Mentality, Scrawl, and another one are all digital now. So they're digital versions of their games that you basically just log in through a server and you just log in through,
right there.
Yeah, you just play them. It's very similar to Jackbox. You just hook up your computer and so through an HDMI port. So, but yeah, I feel like that space is growing, and think about implementing just one into a digital thing that you can just do on the screen or something like that. There's all kinds of ways that you can invite people into that space, no matter what their gaming
interest
is.
That's another good one right there too.
Man, Strike is so good.
Strike's super fun. Do you know I'm the Gen Con champion of Strike 2023?
Yep, you did win that. So Strike. So Strike is basically you just throw dice into a bowl and see what happens.
You literally could just get a bowl and play it at home.
Yeah. So you're trying to match dice faces, and so as many die faces as you match, you take them out of the bowl. It's a pressure luck game, and when you run out of dice, you're out, and somebody's going to be holding some dice at the end. So yeah, it's really fun.
That's cool.
That's what it looks like.
And then Just One is on BGA. Oh, awesome! I didn't know that.
Yeah. So shirtless Gen Con champ. Maybe, possibly, Bob.
There you go. Yeah, Strike. It's literally dice in a bowl.
Yeah, it's just dice in a bowl. It's amazing. You'll have a blast playing it.
Yeah, we play it like 30, 40 times a year. It's like one of our most
wow.
It's a 5-minute game, but it's a fun pressure luck game for sure.
Okay, I'm going to try that out.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Isaac decided to open up his world to party games, because he has played my game Blob Party and shared it with people, and I really, really appreciate how much he's like.
I learned how to play. I learned how to play Blob Party at Origins because of Isaac.
There you go.
We're gonna talk about Blob Party here coming up, but it may or may not be in my top 10 games of 2023.
Okay.
It is hard for a party game to make top 10 lists, I think, in general.
Right?
Like, but last year or 2 years ago, Green Team
made both of our top 10s. Yeah.
I met Nathan Thornton who designed that, and he is like, we're like board game design soulmates. Like we have the same brain. We think the same. Like I love all the games that he's come up with. I'm like, yes. I wish that I had thought of that one. And he's just like the nicest guy ever. I'm so glad that like Green Team wins. That's sounds like a game that I would have thought of in an alternate universe. So yeah, great game.
That's awesome. Yeah, Nathan is like one of the kindest dudes.
He's so nice.
Such a good person. So,
yes.
We love Nathan on the show.
Sculpting cute blobs is part of the fun. Yes.
There we go. And then
100%.
Bob said they ran a 20-person game of Blob Party.
I love that. That's what I was kind of hoping would happen at Gen Con. I wanted to have like 100 players playing Blob Party and see what happens.
We got close at Gen Con. We had near 40 for one of the games.
Wow.
Actually, at Origins, we had near 40, I think.
Oh, that's so cool.
It got really hard when it was 39 of us and one person.
And we've had that one person on the show before.
Oh, yeah.
He struggled
a little.
So let's talk about thankfulness. Let's talk about ThanksGaming. So first question about what we're thankful for. What designer are you thankful for?
Yeah, I really tried to just pick one. I'm sorry. I have like a few on here if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay.
I love it.
So the two designers that had the biggest impact on me and like I learned the most from when I was first getting serious about designing games are Erica Hayes Buras and Sen Fung Lim, now the hosts of Ludology. So they gave talks at a playtesting convention I used to run called Proto-TO. And Erica gave a talk about creativity and just about how creativity is a skill that you can develop. It's not just like either you're creative or you're not. And that was just like, oh, it was just like such an amazing concept to think about, that like it's a muscle you have to work out. It's a skill you have to develop. It's something you have to work at to be better at. And that was just really impactful to me. And then the other talk that Sen gave, he talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but the biggest thing that stood out to me was not trying to think a game to perfection. And that's something that I absolutely was doing, especially at that time when I was just getting serious about trying to get games published. I had been working just like on one game for the past 2 years and just trying to like think of all the scenarios that could happen if people played it, but not actually having people play it and test it. So like getting a game to the table, getting in front of people, getting that feedback is so important, and doing that as soon as possible.
That's awesome.
Those are like two of the biggest lessons that I learned from Sen and Erica. The other designer I'm very thankful for is Phil Walker Harding, just because I love his catalog of games and he inspires me as a designer. Like one day I want to have a catalog that diverse and strong as he does. He has so many hits and they're all so different. Any game that comes out by Phil Walker Harding, I want to play.
Instant buy.
Speaking of a new game from him, Tanis. It's an Egyptian themed game. It's really solid, like really good. So
see, I thought you were gonna say Spellbook come out with another game. Like he's just like...
So this was Eagle Griffin Games published it, and it's part of their the small box series. But it's real good, and it's just a 2-player game. It's simple set collection, really well done. So
yeah, all of his games are so mechanically sound. Yeah, absolutely. I actually thought about Roberta Taylor as well. I absolutely love Creature Comforts.
So great game.
I love that game so much. No, she is awesome. The other two on my list are Peggy Brown and Leslie Scott, like pioneers for me. Like they're just so amazing in the gaming industry. So Leslie Scott invented Jenga. Peggy Brown is like a prolific designer in the space, and she won like the Taggy Award for Designer of the Year. Like it was like 15 years ago. Like she's like still nominated like every year for Designer of the Year.
Cool.
She comes out with a ton of games every year. She's so inspiring to me. And she's so gracious with her time. Like she took me out for lunch at the New York Toy Fair.
Nice.
Like I was just a complete nobody, and Peggy Brown like took the time to answer my questions, and like she's just an amazing person, and will like
awesome.
She'll send me messages, and like we're like friends now. So that's just so cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And just one more. Just 2 more really quick. One more is Jamie Stegmaier.
Yes.
So he, publisher/designer, he came out with a book about crowdfunding like quite a while ago now. But it's one of the first books that I read when I was getting serious about designing games and I wanted to self-publish a game. And so I read that book, and it had a huge impact on me because it made me see how much is involved with self-publishing, and it changed my trajectory to focus on pitching rather than self-publishing. And it probably saved me thousands of dollars. And it was just, he's one of the first people I followed on Twitter in the board game design space. He's like the first person that introduced me to a bunch of things in the board game community. And now, like last week, he shared one of my YouTube videos, and he like emailed me saying like he loves my videos and they're a great resource for other designers. Whereas he was my main resource when I was starting out.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just one of the coolest moments for me ever as a designer.
Yeah.
And because of his, like him sharing my stuff, I gained like 300 subscribers in like a day.
That's super cool. Yeah,
it was absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's and like awesome. Isaac sent that to me. All these people were sending it to me, like Jamie Stegmaier posted that thing. Like, oh my god, that was a very, very cool moment. Okay, and I'll stop there.
That's cool. Favorite designer? Here's 7.
Yeah.
That's hard to pick. We haven't done just a designer chat, but I mean that's got its own like
Well, I have so many. It's like this is not favorite designer. It's designers we're thankful for. So I went with Motor City Gameworks. I went Pinchback and Riddle and Adam, Adam Hill, like the three of them make just some incredibly fun, complex, thinky, satisfying roll and writes. Their card games, Ben and Matt's card games are phenomenal. I'm so thankful that Ladder 29 is getting re-released and going to get a broader audience. I'm really I don't know. I just appreciate every time I play one of their roll and writes. I just sit there and I'm like, man, this is so good. Like it's just so well done. Like Three Sisters is just such a fantastic game. And I saw it. I was sitting there writing out my notes today. I was like, man, Three Sisters is just sitting there. I need to play that again, like right away, you know? So, so I would say the three of them, very thankful for Motor City Gameworks. So
I'm going to write that down. It's called Three Sisters. I haven't played that, but I have two sisters, so we should we should play it.
Well, it's not Human Sisters.
It's the planting, like it's the indigenous way of planting corn, beans, and gourd squash. Yeah. So it's the planting process. And so it's about running a backyard farm. And it's such a good game. So
cool.
Yeah.
You better acknowledge Rick. He keeps
talking. So he started by telling me that I was wearing the same clothes yesterday. I was wearing the same hat yesterday.
Pay better attention, Rick White.
I saw him yesterday. So yep. So let me plug Rick because he's in the comments. If you ever need an editor for your rules, Rick White is a very, very good editor.
There are better options, but there's also Rick. Yeah.
There's also Rick.
So for me, same thing. Like you think about what you're thankful for, like getting into doing board game content creation. There were companies and designers who, when we were doing nothing, right? And Ryan, you went through the same thing, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
When your channel was nothing, there were ones that said, I like you and I trust you and I want to be on your side. Like 100%. I want to see you successful. And one of them was Emerson. And like Emerson made time to talk about board games and his design process and let me do interviews with him early, like when Century was popping, right?
Yeah,
on all the Century Spice games were popping. And he's always been somebody who's been very kind, very compassionate, and taking the time to chat. Pre-pandemic, when I tried my hand at designing some games, I'm blessed to have John Gilmore, Ian Moss in the area, and they tore my games apart in such a good way that it was nice to have that, designers who are local who would sit down and say, yeah, I'd love to play what you've got, right? And actually take some time with it. But and I got, Jamie's another one I thought about too, just because of like what Jamie has brought in the gaming industry as far as like, here's my perspective and warts and all, I'm going to show you what I think and what I feel. And he's been transparent to say that he's learned through the process of everything he's gone through, right? He's not perfect. And he's been the first one to say that. And I love that. Like, I love the journey that he's gone through and that you can see. So yeah, there's just a lot of good people, doing some good things.
Man, we have a lot to be thankful for. So what about a board game experience that you're most thankful for? How about that?
Oh yeah. So I thought about this and I think what my answer is my very first playtesting convention I ever went to.
Mm-hmm.
So this is when I was, again, getting serious about board game design and learning about the whole board game design community, and that there's this thing called playtesting conventions where designers gather together and play their prototypes with each other. I didn't know that was a thing. And so I found one in Orlando, and it was 2016, I believe. I flew down there for it. It's called Prototype Con. I don't think it's around anymore, but it changed my life. Like, to be exposed to that, to meet other designers, to see that this is a thing, to get a ton of feedback on my game. I've got more feedback in those 2 days than I had the previous 6 months. Like Tom Vassell was just walking around. I think Zev Slashinier was there. Like, there were a ton of people there. They gave a panel, they gave a talk. I learned a ton of stuff, met a ton of people. And when I got back, it inspired me to start my own playtesting convention in Toronto, which I ran for a few years called TO. And I got super, super into this hobby, and that was a huge reason for it. So I would say my experience at Prototype Con I'm most thankful for.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would say I'm thankful for those moments when you share a board game with somebody and the light bulb goes off as you come to the end of the gameplay and they just go, I really didn't think I was going to like this. Man, this is good. You know?
Yeah.
And they have that sobering moment of like, maybe I really like board games. You know?
Oh yeah. Man. Come in, join us. It's warm.
We're gonna get a big hug. So I love that moment so much. And it's fun because we'll introduce somebody to a game and they're like, I don't like board games. And then I'm like, well, just give this a chance. Just try it and see what happens. And then they play it and they're like, that was really good. That's nothing like what I've played before. And I'm like, there's a lot more, you know? So, but yeah, that light bulb moment is something I'm super thankful for. So.
Yeah, I think for me, like I put experience, it's definitely been playing with, friends, family, but especially like with our kids. And I think like we raised our kids on board games, right? We raised them playing games together, which put a lot of phones down, a lot of eyes on each other, and with conversation, with interaction. And Brian, you've had the exact same thing with your kiddos. And to the point that like the thing that like was kind of the full circle for me this year was my son. When I was planning to go to Gen Con and I said, I'm going to work, I was working with Wise Wizard and work the booth. And he's like, well, I'd love to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, let me talk to Debbie. Let me talk to Derek, see if that's a possibility. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to have a young kid teaching our games, please. Right. We'd love to have a 17-year-old out here. And Ethan like owned it. Like he was teaching the games. He was running the tournaments. Like he was like taking ownership and leadership and hanging out with my friends and, you know, playing games at night. And he said, he said, it felt so good to be a part of your group of friends and see like that adults still can do, you know, just nerdy, fun, silly stuff. Right. And so he can look at 17 and go, okay, I don't have to just grow up, right? I can still have silly friends. And oh, thanks, Derek. Yeah. He loved it. Like, and he was excited for it. And I love, like, that was a board game experience that for me, I don't know how many times I'm going to get to do that. He's a senior this year. It probably isn't going to be a ton. Maybe it will be. I don't know. We went to PAX East and West and Gen Con and Origins this year together. Like, maybe that's going to be something we do forever together. Maybe it won't. It's okay if it isn't, but I'm very thankful for those experiences.
That's awesome. You just brought another one to my mind. I got to throw it out there real quick. Tantrum Con this past year, Aaron was not able to go. And it was a kind of a shock to all of us. Aaron wasn't able to go. She had some medical issues going on. And so she couldn't attend Tantrum Con. And we had already signed up to run a teach a dozen people how to play Unmatched who had never played before. And I was like, okay, so how's this going to go with me teaching 12 people as one individual? So my youngest two kids stepped up. Josiah and Kendall, they stepped up. They jumped into it. Josiah's played a couple games with me. Kendall has too. But I mean, they were crazy teaching Unmatched.
They killed it. I saw them.
Great job. So, yep. Newsflash, Ethan's cooler than his dad.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Yeah, it's not breaking news. Everybody knows that.
Okay.
Thank you, Derek. Yeah, that's also true, Rick.
That's 100%. I'd point out that Ryan trusted two teenagers before he trusted me. I didn't even ask Rick. So I looked at him. I was like, you two.
You two are in.
Yeah.
So our next thankfulness is what board game elicits a feeling of gratitude. So I left that kind of wide open. But like, what board game
interpreted it? I got so the first one is Istanbul, the dice game, because it's just it's an awesome game that I love to play, but also like we were saying, it brings a lot of that light bulb moment that you were talking about, Ryan. I get that a lot with this game with new players. They'll be like, oh my god, this is so much fun, and you can see them kind of like their eyes kind of getting big and like they're like, oh my god, like kind of entering the world of board games through this game that happens a lot, and I personally think it's as close as you can get as to a perfectly designed game. I made a whole YouTube video about it.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just a fabulous game, but it's a great gateway game. And then my other one is Funfair, which
Love
I just
Funfair.
got.
So good.
Yeah, I got it at Gen Con, and I played it for the first time recently, and I'm thankful because it brings two of my favorite things together: board games and theme parks.
That's
And
awesome.
it does it in a really fun. It's like a really fun game as well. So those are
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, looks like Rick's going to have to be on the show to tell us this story. True story. I taught our card dealer Istanbul the dice game while we were waiting forever. How does that happen? It's like you just like look in your pocket. You're like, I got Istanbul the dice game. Let's set this up. How does that happen, Rick?
It's not a small game though, right?
No, it's not. Like Istanbul the dice game's like. What in the world?
So that's not a pocket-sized game.
That's the full size. Well. That's not the yeah. So,
I'm not sure he liked it.
That's also sad. Not sure. I liked Istanbul.
Yeah, it's probably the teacher.
That's like one of the few games that I've played that I can't think of anyone that hasn't liked it, but maybe they hit it well. I don't know, but everyone I've taught it to has absolutely loved it.
Yeah. If they don't like it, you just call them a liar and pack up the game.
Yeah.
That's because Rick. Yeah. So agreed.
I think a game. So you put this as a board game that elicits a feel of gratitude. I would say a good co-op game. I think a good co-op game elicits that gratitude. I think about playing through Horrified with my family, or think of recently playing through something like Halloween. You know, you're sitting there and you're playing, and the last minute thing happens, and you're like, "You made such a great decision! Thank you so much!" You know, you're just so pumped to be able to win, and it comes down to the wire. I think a really solid co-op can elicit that thankfulness of man, you got it. You know, so
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
For me, when I thought gratitude, and I started I don't write the questions with answers in mind. Did not have an answer in mind, but I started thinking about games with some type of teaching or lesson or something that I learned from. So what's the Lacrimosa? I learned a lot about that last Requiem, right? But the one that first came to mind when I thought about this, honestly, was Her Story by Daniel Reynolds. And in Her Story, not only do you learn a lot right through the game itself, but then you learn about the process of the development of the game, right? That she elicited all this help from students who did and helped with the research. And I love that. I love that game encompasses so much value, right? Of historical figures that can very easily get lost to time. Yeah. And I bet I have bought that game 6 times over.
Really?
Nice. As gifts, I've given copies to so many people. When my daughter moved out, it was one of 5 games I handed her. I'm like, this is a game to start your collection.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
These are, and so I'm thankful. I have a lot of gratitude for games that pay honor to things that maybe can get lost in time.
You know what? I think that's going with us to. It's right there on my shelf, facing me. I think that's going to Thanksgiving with us to the in-laws. So that's
a good one.
Good call. So Phoebe says, "Hi, Mr. Ryan." Hi, Phoebe. So,
I'm also thankful for Danielle because she's just an amazing human, and she run Board Game Besties. She's one of the admins on that group that I run for women and gender nonconforming trans people in the board game design community. So yeah, she's just a great person as well.
That's awesome.
She's awesome.
Reading those stories is phenomenal. So it's so good. So because sometimes you'll know the name and you're like, what? How do I know that name? It's like, oh, that's right. Yeah. So it's so good.
Play game, learn a lesson.
Exactly. So best example of gratitude you've seen in the board game space. So.
Right. I had to think about this for a minute. And so what I went with is thanking playtesters in the rule book.
Yeah.
Because I think that's very, very important to me. I make sure I keep track of every single playtester that plays one of my games. I'll write it down, keep track of that. Even if like I don't know if the game will be published, I just assume it will. So I have that running list of playtesters, and I'm not scrambling to try and remember everyone who played the game if it gets picked up. So that's one of my biggest tips for designers is always write down, like ask everyone's name because you should anyway during playtest, but ask for everyone's name, write it down, and then keep that in a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or something along with your rules and everything else. And then you should be able to thank them in the rule book. Some publishers might be like, oh, we don't have space, whatever. I push back on that. And every game that I've done, I've always thanked every single playtester who's played one of my games.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this is an interesting one. I couldn't think of one right off bat, but I'm very thankful for companies who have put themselves out there to rescue a failing project. And
that's good.
Recently, interesting story. What is it? Sweet Mess.
Sweet Mess.
Sweet Mess. I got a shipping notification that Sweet Mess will be at my doorstep in 5 days.
How long has that been?
It's been almost 6 years.
You say it was 18, 17?
Yeah,
2017.
I bought this for my daughter, who at the time was going to be 10 years old when I gave it to her at Christmas. I purchased this. I backed it on Kickstarter knowing that it would probably be delayed a little bit. I said, you know what? I'm giving it to my 10-year-old daughter for her for Christmas that year.
Birthday.
Or I'm going to give it to her on her 11th birthday, which is in February. And so that was the mentality that I had going in. And I honestly never thought I'd see that game. And I told her this past weekend, I said, I just got a shipping notification for something I was going to give you almost 6 years ago. And she was like, are you serious? And she's 15 years old. I mean, she's in high school. And
maybe she'll still play it.
But I'm really thankful. I think back to like even Kickstarters like interesting. What is it? Kids Love Ghosts Love Candy. Ghosts Love Candy is a project that was originally rescued by Steve Jackson Games. Did you know that? Their original Ghosts Love Candy.
I have the original version somewhere.
And so I'm thankful for publishers who say it's worth risking, putting ourselves out there and rescuing this project. So
for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah. Bob said with Green Team, Bob and I championed the heck out of Green Team.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that game and played the prototype down to, everybody. I played with groups 50, 60 people, 8, 10. Like we ran that game through the ringer and had never met Nathan before. And it was really awesome. Chad put a really nice thank you to Bob and I specifically in the rule book. But my 2 examples of gratitude I've seen both involve Nathan. So the first one was watching Ryan explain to Nathan how important Nathan was to him at Origins 2 years previous. And the first time I met him, and it did. I got teary. I didn't know Nathan that well. I was sitting there sobbing. Like I'm like, oh my gosh. And like the gratitude you had towards the care that Nathan took the time to show you, right, is the human side of all of this stuff, right? That it isn't just, this isn't like a big money space. Everybody knows that that's in it, right? Like it's a games we like and the people we love, and we talk about that all the time. But the human approach that you said, Nathan, you reached out to me when I just needed somebody to treat me like a human. Right? And then the other part actually with Nathan that I experienced was at Gen Con this year. And the chaos of trying to walk the halls of Gen Con this year was insanity. We were out there in the area at Wise Wizard outside of the main hall. I had an hour break. I knew I needed to get over to Floodgate to buy this monstrosity behind me by Daryl, the Sagrada Artisans one, and I wanted to get all of the Nathan stuff. I wanted his new everything ever with all the things, and he comes by and sees me buying that stuff, and he came over. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Isaac, are you buying my game?" he's like, you could just probably get that review copy. I'm like, Nathan, I want to support what
man.
you do. Like, I want to see this game be successful. So I'm going to buy all of the things here. And he just that feeling, right? I'm sure as a designer to go like, wow, like, you know, this person like bought this because of me, not necessarily because of the game, but because I love the designer and I want to see him be successful.
Yeah.
So
that's why we bought 6 or 7 copies of Green Team. I mean,
I bought a case. I bought a case of Green Team when it came out. Like, I went up to the booth at Origins. I said, "Give me a case," and Chad's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, no, give me a case.
One case.
And it's the only time I've ever bought a case of board games. This might be the only time I ever buy a case of board games.
So that's really cool.
All right, so now it's time to get to learn more about Pam. Pam, this is where you tell us all about you, and I'm going to let Isaac lead this one.
So Pam and I got to meet at Gen Con this year, and kind of started with, I'll let you describe the process of how you got in gaming, but we found Blob Party on our doorstep from WizKids, and WizKids has been a company that has always trusted us and our site and always sends me things. And Blob Party was in I'll be very frank, in a box of probably 10 games that they sent me. And I was going through and I was like, I'll take this to we had a anniversary party for some friends. And I was like, do you guys want to try this? See what you think? And immediately just took off. And I was like, I don't know who this Pam Walls is, but I need to meet her because this game is kicking. Yeah. And I can talk more about kind of our introduction to that, but kind of what got you started into your journey and took us up to where we're at now.
Yeah, so I'll do like the super short version, and then if anyone wants to like learn more, I did a whole video about like my journey as a board game designer, and it's on my YouTube channel, Pam Walls Game Design. It's like the featured video, so it should be the first one that you see there. But yeah, so like I mentioned, my parents really fostered creativity and coming up with games, and I grew up in that sort of environment that really fostered games creativity, that sort of thing. So I was always doing that. And then the first time I remember thinking, all these games that we're playing, someone made this and got paid to do it. So like, well, hopefully, but like, that's a thing that I could like do potentially. So I remember thinking I was probably like 17, 18, and I somehow found an email address for a board game for one of the random games on our shelves. And I remember emailing them and just never got a response. But I was like, how can I become a board game designer? And never got a response. And then just kind of went on with life and, got different. Hi, Helena. So just kind of like got different day jobs, but I was always still thinking of games. I remember the very first time I thought of like sat down, I was like, I'm going to make my own board game was when I was 18. And then just from there, just always kind of just became my thing that I would just always kind of think of games and usually play them with my family at Christmas, see what they thought. And it was just like a hobby that I was always doing. And then when I was like, about 10 years ago, I would decide to take it a bit more seriously and actually get a game published. And that's when I got really into the board game community, because up until then I was just playing with my family and friends. I didn't know anything about the board game design industry at all. So yeah, I got way more into it, went to that playtesting convention, got into the board game design community in Toronto, which is like Helena and a bunch of other awesome people in Toronto. There's a huge community out there. If you're in Toronto, get connected with them because they're an amazing resource. And then just things kind of snowballed from there. I learned about playtesting and iteration and coming up with more and more ideas, and my ideas got better and better to the point where I was pitching to publishers, and I now have 3 published games.
That's awesome.
Another game coming out next year, and then potentially one more getting signed next year as well.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Blob Party, as far as like how Blob Party came to be and how you got hooked up with WizKids there.
Yeah, so Blob Party, I thought of it was like in a few different iterations over the course of like almost a year. And then during COVID, I tried playtesting it like over like Zoom, and when I was getting very positive feedback, and it came together actually really cool. I mainly playtested over Zoom during COVID, which is tough with a party, especially a game like this where it's all about making so the idea is there are 2 prompts. There's a category card and a word card, And then, so maybe it's like music and lightning. Everyone writes down anything that comes to mind with those 2 prompts. Anyone who wrote the same thing would become a team or a blob moving forward. So it's a cooperative party game. I know you guys know this. I'm just saying it for the viewers.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
And so then moving forward, you are going to work with your team to come up with one answer together for 2 new prompts. And you're trying to become one big blob before the end of 7 rounds. And so, yeah, so we would just have groups kind of text each other or have like a little group chat.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Something. Yeah, so then I pitched it at, I believe it was a speed pitch event through Origins, I believe it was. And I pitched it to quite a few publishers, one right after the other. And it was by far like my game that generated the most interest at one of these events. And so I had a few different publishers who were interested in it, and WizKids was one of them. And I ended up going with them. And I was super excited about that because I've met Zev before and he's awesome. So I was very excited to work with them. And yeah, so then we worked on it. Like I like refined a few things, and it was done. And then they published it, and it came out last year at Gen Con.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it, like I said, it took off for us locally. And then when I played it, it was spring, I think they got it to me, and I said, "Oh, this is coming with me to Origins." And I don't, I think of all of our kind of content creator group, no one had it yet, and so I was introducing it to lots of different. Like I remember I introduced it to Danny Standring and Grant and some of these guys, and they were like, "What the heck is this game? Where did you get it from?" I'm like, "Go talk to WizKids." Because honestly, WizKids has been on a really good trajectory in the last couple of years of making some really nice, high quality games, and yours fits into this idea where they're making solid games that people want to get a hold of. And it sold out at Gen Con, to my understanding, first day. Like I don't think it lasted very long.
That's
out
awesome.
there. So
yeah,
that was very, very cool. Very cool moment. Yeah.
But we've, like I said, we've gotten a chance to introduce to a lot of people. It's on a lot of Christmas lists for friends around here. So hoping people get a chance. And like you said, you kind of explained the gist of the game. We have a review over at our page, Game of Sidekicks for it. And you can see even on our TikTok page, our big groups playing it at Gen Con. So is a lot of fun. Ryan, you were okay at it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was okay at it. I definitely wasn't great at it. But I also wasn't the only one keeping us from winning. So
that's fair. That's fair.
That's I was okay at it.
Our biggest hiccup is when we have somebody that purposely tries to throw the game. And I'm like I just don't want to play with. There's always one. What I found the most interesting though is we do play that is, and you mentioned it, this is a cooperative party game, and Bob and Derek and I will brainstorm ideas sometimes. And I said, okay, guys, are there any other cooperative party games that are good? And we really struggled to think of cooperative party games, like where it's truly everybody, like a So Clover, right? And there's some games where you're kind of all working in like mixed teams, but for this one, for us all to be on the same team, is hard. And I've used this in some youth groups, some college students, and it's forced a couple of kids who normally wouldn't talk to each other. Well, now you're in a blob, right? So you're going to have to socialize and interact. So I love that aspect.
Yeah, and it was actually play tested with like my sister-in-law. She play tested with a bunch of students that she works with, and she said that the exact same thing happened, and they really enjoyed that. And people, that kids interacted together that normally wouldn't, and that's one of my favorite parts of Blob Party for sure. And I do want to like just reiterate how thankful I am for you guys and just like the support you've given Blob Party. Like that's absolutely huge for a designer, just to have people talking about it. Like that's made a huge impact. So very, very thankful for that. So
well, it's good games. We love good games, and it's been a fun one.
Got a story from Blob Party. We had a delightful game of Blob Party where everyone but our one friend blobbed up in the first round, and then we laughed through 4 more rounds of can we figure out how Ahmad thinks.
That's
awesome. And that's where some of that green team kind of comes in, right where you are. Like, how do I get on the team and the mindset of this person? I love that. Love that party game.
Rick has a good idea for a future show. Not who we're thankful for, but who we're ready to just have fall off the face of the earth. So So yeah, well, that's 2 weeks from now. We'll have that show.
Let's move to something more uplifting. We're gonna finish with our normal. We are running a little later than we normally do, so we'll try and move through. But the game chat presents Pick 5. These are 5 games to bring to your next family gathering. These are not the best games. These are not the only games. You have top 5 games. These are just 5 games that we want to take off our shelf and take to our next family gathering. So we'll do them one at a time.
Going around the circle
with yourself. What's a game you want to take to your next family gathering?
Me?
Yes. You can start us off.
I am gonna start with King of Tokyo. I think you guys probably like this because there's a lot of dice rolling. It's basically like, for me, I think it's like a better Yahtzee.
Yeah.
Also another great gateway game. Super, super fun. Very fast paced. I would definitely.
I love it.
Definitely
it's a really good one. So
always a good pick.
I'm going with Ready Set Bet. This was a late entry. So Ready Set Bet plays up to 10 players. 10?
Yeah, it's 4 to 10, I believe. 3 to 10,
2 to 9. Oh,
2 to 9.
Both wrong.
Oh, but the caller.
But the caller. So this one, we bring it anytime we have a bigger gathering. We brought it over the summer to some family events. It's going to be traveling with us Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. So family members, get ready to bet on them horses.
For sure.
I still haven't played that, and I really, really want to. I've heard so much about it.
From Hachette and Randolph Games. Oh, really? I thought I knew you better than that. One of my favorite additions to my party game collection, designed by a graphic artist who did all the cool kind of art design stuff. I don't know if either of you had a chance to play this one, but it's 5 random topics. Topics on the box are Spice Girls, having 12 friends over for dinner, hot sauce, having dinner with your dad, like just random stuff. And then you secretly rank them from the thing you want to do the most to the thing you'd want to do the least. And everybody else has to decide where you would bet. And you take one and you say, that's the one I know the most. And it kind of really surprises you how well you do or don't know somebody.
Oh, that's fun. I always love that. Those kinds of games where you learn more about each other.
That's what that is.
Forbidden Desert is my next one. Ooh. I agree with Ryan. I love like cooperative games with family and friends. Play King of Tokyo and fight each other and eliminate each other and attack each other, and then come back together with Forbidden Desert.
There we
work
go.
Together to try to escape a desert in a spaceship for some reason.
But
a really great co-op game.
Yeah. So all you co-op haters out there, me and Pam are right.
Yep.
So speaking of knowing people, priorities, this is a new game that is on Target store shelves. This has been a giant hit for my family and everybody who's played it. People the funniest thing is we had our Thanksgiving at our church community recently. We had to divide this deck of cards up and hand out pieces of paper because we had 3 tables of people who were like, can we play priorities? Can we play priorities?
Awesome.
I was like, okay, I'll make the cards go as far as they can. But that one is a lot of fun. And tune into us on TikTok and Instagram. We're doing Priority Fridays from now until the end of the year. Show us your 5 top priorities. So.
I'm excited. One of my favorite party games plays a bunch of people really well, and that is Scott Brady's Hues and Cues. Hues and Cues is such a fun, simple, easy, big group game. My one critique of this game was, well, if you're colorblind, you can't play. And Scott came out, found me, and said, you know what? Colorblind people see this color as the same color you think it is, and this, they think a gray looks like that shade of purple. We play tested it with tons of different color blindness. He said it works. Trust me, I've tried it, and it 100% has been that case.
My son's colorblind, and he can actually play it.
Yep. Yeah, so. It's very interesting, but great family group game.
Yeah. Rick threw in his 5 Werewords, Wits and Wagers, Vegas, Monstrosity, Ready Set Bet, and Cash and Guns. All great. So.
Oh yeah, there's so many games. It's hard to only pick 5.
Yeah.
Classic, Just One.
Just One.
People mentioned this in the chat as well. This is like the number 1 game I wish I had thought of as a designer. It's so obvious. But great, super easy too that almost everyone will enjoy. So this is a great game for like you said, any generation can play this. For sure.
That's one of those few games where my dad and my father-in-law both like the game. They both forget what the game's name is every single time, and then we show it to them, and they say, "I do like that one."
Oh, yeah, I like that game.
Every single, and they both own it, which is another. Yeah,
I love it.
anyway.
I love
So, Cabbage King, 5 for my family, just one strike. Gingerbread House, Meow, and Best Candy on the Block. I don't know Gingerbread House.
Oh, I have Meow. It's a game in a bag.
Nice. This one right here, this is Splitto. It plays 8 players. It's easy to teach. We played this game like 50 times this year. It's a lot of fun. Splitto, fantastic game for up to 8 players.
Such a good game. Great teaching that too in the rule book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you scan that QR code, you might see my face.
So. Yeah. But it's a good teach regardless. Speaking of a Philip Walker Harding game, if your family knows how to play bingo, they can play Super Mega Lucky Box. I have 3 copies of the game in this box. This box will play up to 18 people.
Wow.
Because it doesn't take up a lot of room. I only need one set of numbers, and I have a bunch of cards in here. And we've played it at 18. We played a speed version of that one night at Origins.
Gotta get out of the room.
they were ready to kick us out. I'm like, we got 15 minutes. We can play this in 15 minutes. Let's go with like 15 people. And we got it done. So it's fun. It's good.
Nice.
Another Phil Walker Harding.
Yes.
And another Gingerbread House, I guess, is also Phil Walker Harding.
Yeah, that's
interesting. I haven't played that one.
This guy doesn't miss. It's just absolutely amazing. My next one is Catchphrase.
Nice.
This is super, super fun game. It's like hot potato, and so you're trying to get your teammates to guess a word. If they get it right, you pass it to the next player, and if the buzzer goes off when it's in your hands, then the other team gets a point. Always a hit. And it's like a game, if you want the energy to go up, play this one.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, for
sure. So, Chicken is from Keymaster Games. This game is all about not chickening out and trying to score the most points. It is a fantastic pressure luck game. If you like rolling dice, if you like risking and pressing your luck as you roll bigger and bigger numbers, this one's a lot of fun. So it comes in this cool little cylinder container. It goes with us everywhere because it's so easy to play.
It's so good.
Yes.
I love that one. What number are we up to?
This is 4. Number 4. Yep.
Okay, I would be remiss if I did not get out my copy of Green Team Wins and tell you that you need to take this to all outings at all times with all people. I taught this to, we had coworkers over for the first time, teaching a lot of them and their spouses games for the first time. And this was in my pile of 5, and they loved it. And my box is way overloaded because I also have like 3 copies of the game in here. But it's such a fun game. We've talked about it a ton, but on Target store shelves. I think it was even on sale last week.
Or this week. Right. It was sale.
Oh, that's great.
$19.
Yeah,
so.
It was
awesome.
Steal.
That's something that I still haven't experienced as a designer, is seeing one of my games on a Target shelf.
Yeah.
As far as I'm told, it might happen next year. So
nice. Well, I've seen Blob Party at a couple different stores, like when we've done little store friendly local game store tours. I've seen it on store shelves. It's awesome. So
it's
Target,
it's in
though.
like the smaller I don't know, Party will make it into Target, but a different game.
That'll be cool.
Hopefully it might be showing up at a different US store next year. We'll see.
Okay.
That's the word on the street. My next one, I actually sold today, Facebook Marketplace, so I can't show it. But it's an escape game. So the one that I had is actually a Hasbro Clue escape game called Tudor Mansion, I think, or something like that. And it was actually really good. It's one of my favorite escape games that I've played. And so escape games are super fun to play with family and friends because they only take an hour. Again, you're all working together, solving some sort of mystery and riddles and working together on different things.
That's cool.
This one probably had the most intuitive puzzles that I've played with an escape game, and you're not cutting anything up, so you can sell it or you can play it again.
Yeah.
So it was a Hasbro Clue escape game. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
Awesome.
Downforce, this box is ultra heavy because it's got a bunch of extra stuff in it. Downforce is one of those games that it teaches so quickly. 6 players can play. Everybody likes moving cars around the board and going boom, boom. It's a lot of fun. It's
Cool.
easy for kids to play, adults to play, older people to play. One of my favorite Thanksgiving memories was years and years ago at my in-laws' Thanksgiving day. I bust out Downforce and I was like, hey, let me teach you guys how to play this. We had 6 people sit down. 2 of those people got up, 2 more people sat down. 2 more people got up, 2 more people sat down. 4 games back to back at the kitchen table.
Wow.
They loved that game. And it was kids as young as like 10 years old, and it was people as old as 60. It was so good. So
I love it. Finally, last pick, last one. I would be remiss to have Pam on here and not include Block Party as a game that you need to take to your family gatherings. Like you said, the clay is cute, the eyeballs are cute, the game is amazing. This can play with more people. I think it settles in. I think you guys got the player count right. I think it settles in real nice at 8. Bigger groups work, but man, that is a game that is going to be a hit. Is coming on Thanksgiving with me this year. So
yay! Cool. Oh,
get the family together to play.
That's
so
awesome.
Fun.
So I think we're going to skip, because we're a little bit over time. I think we're going to skip what we've been playing. I've got to teach Disney Animated in just a minute to some family, and so. But Pam, where can people find you, and where can people find your YouTube channel?
Yes, so pretty much I'm Pam Walls Game Design everywhere. So my YouTube channel is Pam Walls Game Design. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and yes, I refuse to call it X. Someone in the chat was saying that I refuse. It is Twitter, and will always be Twitter.
It's always going to be Twitter.
Yes.
Always Twitter.
So. Yeah. So yeah, you probably pretty much find me everywhere. And that's my website. That just kind of shows my games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
But yeah, I've been I post every Sunday on my YouTube channel, and I've been also streaming on Friday nights, trying to play a different game every week on Tabletopia.
Sweet.
So
Love it. You can find us at One Board Family all over the place. Join us on Fridays throughout the rest of this year. We're going to be doing Priority Fridays, where I pull 5 cards out of this deck, and we ask you to prioritize those 5 cards from 1 to 5. What's your priority? You can find us One Board Family all over the place. Twitter, TikTok, go over to socials, all the stuff. oneboardfamily.com for all of our media. So,
and you can find Gaming with Sidekicks at all the same places: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, especially over on TikTok. If you're watching on live, I hope this worked. I hope somebody can give me feedback on it. And you can find us in about 8 days, doing a bunch of TikTok content over at PAX Unplugged, where I'll be joining Bob from One Board Family as we do all of the PAX Unplugged stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm very jealous you guys got to go to PAX Unplugged. So
I'm making him go to all the interviews with me. Just I'm dragging him along.
Oh, that'll be good. Maybe he'll create some content for us. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much, Pam. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.